Claire. Bye.
Bye, Mrs. DeLuca.
That is so great, sweetie. See you around.
Get off the road, winner!
There you go.
What'd I do now?
You promised.
Hey, what happened there?
Yeah, like weeks. Claire, you.
What was that?
Ultimate smegma.
Darcy! Oh.
Why not?
If you want an accurate translation, you'll probably have to talk to a scholar.
I'm freaking ecstatic, man. Almost like being here.
So madly in love with me. Yes! Yes, yes, what?
Right, you're an asshole.
Totally.
Go out with me. Look.
Opium.
Wow.
Just stop being so embarrassing.
Hey, Gina, it's me. Let me up. No!
So cute. Beyond cute.
It was just another regular day in the suburbs. Johanna wrapped something up in a sheet, carried it outside, and tossed it in the trash like it was nothing. Meanwhile, her daughter Claire was out riding her bike with her dog, Max, having the time of her life. But when Claire got back home, everything changed. She went looking for her mom, and the moment she stepped into the attic, boom, she found Johanna had taken her own life. The scream that followed could have shattered glass. Fast forward years later, teenage Claire jolts awake from another nightmare about that awful day. Shaking it off, she hops on her bike and heads to school, stopping for a second to say hey to her Uncle August. Being the nice kid she is, she even helps him grab the newspaper. But just as she turns, here comes Darcy, the queen of mean, speeding right at her with her squad. Claire barely dodges in time, but she crashes into the trash cans, scraping her knee. Of course, Darcy and her crew laugh their heads off and keep it moving. At school, just when Claire thinks the embarrassment is over, she spots her dad, Jonathan, digging through a dumpster with his buddy, Carl. Completely mortified, she runs over and begs them to leave. Jonathan argues they're not technically on school grounds, but that doesn't matter. The damage is done. Everyone's already whispering. He tries to ask about her knee, but she's not having it. To make things worse, he tells her to stay away from Uncle August, but Claire brushes him off and finally gets him to go. Later, Claire links up with her best friends, June and Meredith, to hang up a banner they made. Just as they're putting it up, some random dude sneaks a pic of Claire's butt, and before she can react, Darcy comes out of nowhere and tosses her drink right at the banner, ruining it. To top it off, Claire's heart sinks when she spots her crush, Paul, with his new girlfriend. During class, Ryan tries to be nice, telling Claire he liked the banner, but she doesn't care. Her eyes are glued to Paul. Meanwhile, Jonathan and Carl are on another dumpster-digging adventure, this time at a cemetery. That's when Jonathan finds an old, fancy-looking box. It's locked, but something about it just feels special, so he keeps it. At lunch, Claire and her friends are cracking jokes about Darcy, not realizing she's right behind them. Darcy confronts Claire, demanding to know what was so funny. Claire, without missing a beat, calls her the ultimate smegma. Yeah, she went there. The insult flies right over Darcy's head at first, but when she realizes what it means, she slaps Claire across the face. But Claire isn't the type to back down. She slaps her right back. Things escalate fast, and suddenly they're full-on brawling, rolling over tables, knocking over trays. The entire cafeteria is losing it, cheering, recording, loving every second. It takes an adult physically pulling Claire off to stop the madness. Darcy, still raging, tries to go for round 2, but Paul scoops her up and carries her away. That moment, pure gold. Claire heads home, still fired up from the fight, only to find Jonathan waiting with a surprise for her. Her birthday isn't for a while, but he couldn't wait. She doesn't share his excitement, but when she opens the package, there it is. The mysterious box. It has some Chinese writing on it, which she translates as 7 wishes, but no matter how hard she tries, it won't open. Later that night, Claire's bad day gets worse when she sees that Darcy posted the fight online. But here's the twist. She edited out the part where she started it, so now everyone thinks Claire was the bad guy. To add insult to injury, she also posted a picture of Jonathan dumpster diving, giving Claire a new nickname, Garbage Girl. Furious, Claire remembers the box. 7 wishes, huh? Fine. She grabs it and makes a wish. Darcy should go rot. Simple as that. Just as she makes the wish, Max starts growling at the box, refusing to go near it. Weird, but whatever. That night, while Claire's sound asleep, the box suddenly opens by itself and plays this eerie music. The air in the room shifts. Something feels off, but Claire doesn't wake up. And soon, the box shuts itself again. The next morning, Darcy wakes up feeling off. She heads to the bathroom, rubs her eyes, and when she looks in the mirror, bam! Her legs are covered in rotting flesh. She screams, freaking out, and when she touches her face, she realizes it's happening there too. Her friends burst in, see the horror show unfolding, and because they're such great friends, they start snapping pics. By the time Claire gets to school, those pics have gone viral. Everyone is making fun of Darcy. Claire doesn't know what's going on yet, but she's definitely enjoying the shift in power. She heads home feeling good for once, takes a picture of the box, and starts looking it up online. But in the middle of her search, something clicks. She hasn't seen Max in a while. She calls for him. No answer. She searches the house. Nothing. Finally, she hears something under the deck. As she crouches down, her stomach knots. Something's wrong. She pushes past some debris, following the noise. And then, thump. Something falls right in front of her. It's Max. Lifeless. His body is twisted and still, being eaten by rats. Claire's scream rips through the air. Claire and her friends bury Max, and she's a mess. That dog was a gift from her mom, so losing him feels like losing her all over again. The next day, she takes the weird box to her Chinese teacher to ask about the symbols she doesn't get. But turns out, it's not regular Chinese. It's ancient. He tells her she needs a scholar for this one. Ryan overhears and offers his cousins help, but Claire isn't feeling it. That night, she's still thinking about Max, so she makes a sad little post about him. Meredith texts her, telling her to check Paul's social media. One look at Paul's pics, and Claire's mind goes straight to the box. She grabs it and wishes for Paul to fall madly in love with her. Next morning, it's like magic. Paul completely ignores his girlfriend to run straight to Claire. Meanwhile, across town, August is in his bathroom getting a bath ready. But he slips, hits his head, and dies right there in the tub. When Claire gets home, she sees the news. Jonathan isn't sad at all, calls it good riddance since nobody in the family cared about August anyway. He also doesn't think August left them a dime. Claire's already in a mood, and when she trips over the junk her dad keeps dragging home, she snaps. She's had enough of being broke. Storming into her room, she grabs the box and makes a new wish. She wants August's entire fortune. Not long after, Jonathan gets a call. August actually did leave everything to Claire. Just like that, they're rich. The family moves into August's fancy house, and Claire gets a brand new phone and her own car. She takes her friends on a shopping spree, and they all get a glow-up. Paul definitely notices. But later that night, Claire hears it again. That creepy music from the box. At the same time, her old neighbor is messing with her garbage disposal. She hears a weird sound but doesn't see anything, so she turns it on again. Bad idea. Her braid gets caught. She tries to reach the switch, but it's too late. Her scalp rips off, her neck hits the edge of the sink, and she dies instantly. Next day, Jonathan shows Claire some of Johanna's old paintings. She freaks out, worried she'll end up like her mother, but Jonathan promises he'll look out for her. Later, she finds him playing the saxophone, something he hasn't done since Johanna died. Maybe he's finally trying to move on. That night, Claire keeps dreaming about the box. Then she wakes up and sees a shadow outside. She rushes out, but nothing's there. The next day, Paul straight up dumps his girlfriend and asks Claire out. She tells him she'll think about it. Later, she tries searching the box symbols online but finds nothing. She has no choice. She needs Ryan's help. On the way to meet his cousin, they talk about first-grade memories and geek out over the multiverse. When they finally meet Gina, she says the box looks like a version of a Chinese wish pot. Usually, you write your wish on paper, drop it in, and wait for it to come true. Gina translates the text and finds rules. Whoever makes a wish has to touch the box, and if they get rid of it, all the wishes get undone. The box also has a name, Lu Mei. They look it up and find an old legend. Back in 1910, China was hit by the bubonic plague. Lu Mei's family got locked in a train car and died of heat stroke. Except Lu Mei. Angry and desperate, she took her family's most valuable thing, a music box, to a temple and prayed for 7 days straight. A demon answered. Lu Mei got rich and wiped out her enemies. 12 years later, she took her own life with opium. The box has a line that says something happens after the music stops, but Gina can't translate the rest. She takes some pics and says she'll ask a scholar friend. On the way home, Claire finds Jonathan dumpster diving again. She loses it, yelling at him and refusing to listen. When she gets home, she grabs the box and makes another wish. She wants her dad to stop embarrassing her. That night, Jonathan transforms into the coolest sax player in town, and June suddenly finds him attractive. Meanwhile, Gina gets an email from her friend with the full translation. And it's bad. Just then, the box opens, and a storm knocks out the power in her apartment. She rushes to her balcony for a signal and leaves Ryan a freaked-out voicemail. But then, bam! The door slams shut behind her, and she drops her phone. She turns around, and that's when she realizes she's not alone. When she trips in the dark, lands on a bull statue, and bam! The horn goes right through her. Lights out. The next morning, Ryan finds her body and the missing translation. Turns out, every wish needs a blood price. He rushes to school, grilling Claire about her wishes, but she dodges the question. Meanwhile, Paul invites Claire to sit at his table, but the cool kids aren't having it. They walk away like she's got the plague. Then, out of nowhere, a fake picture pops up online, making her look like she's digging through trash. Humiliated, she grabs the box and wishes to be the most popular girl in school. That same night, she gets invited to a party. When she walks in, the crowd literally claps. It's like a movie moment. She dances, kisses Paul, and for the first time, she feels like she's on top of the world. But the box isn't done with her yet. She has another nightmare about her mom, only this time, the box is in the dream too. She wakes up to find someone filming her outside. She chases him, but he's too fast. Then, right when she thinks she's about to get snatched, her dad shows up. She realizes everything started with the box, so she hides it in a vent, hoping that'll keep the madness at bay. The next day, she visits her old neighbor's house, but when she steps inside, the stench hits her first. Then she finds the body. Things are spiraling. At school, she finally gets to sit with the popular kids, but it doesn't feel right. She ditches them to find Meredith and June, but they're mad at her for ghosting them. She finally tells them about the box and the deaths, but Meredith isn't buying it. She calls Claire selfish for wasting wishes on popularity instead of, curing cancer. After some arguing, June convinces Claire to get rid of it. She's all set to toss it, but then she hears Jonathan playing his sax and, surprise, surprise, changes her mind. Later, at another party, Claire is kissing Paul in his car when she notices another girl's clothes. Then she checks his phone and finds a bunch of creepy photos of herself. Paul's been the guy sneaking around her house. She breaks up with him, but he refuses to accept it. Right then, the box opens, and suddenly, things start going sideways. A decoration falls into the bonfire, and Meredith has to yank June out of danger. Meanwhile, Jonathan, on his way to a gig, almost gets taken out by a chain reaction of car accidents, but he dodges everything like he's in an action movie. That night, Claire confesses to June that she still has the box. Later, Meredith takes the elevator, but as soon as the doors close, it malfunctions. The cables snap, sending her plummeting. The crash kills her instantly. At school, June loses it, blaming Claire for everything. That's when Ryan shows up, dragging Claire to his house. He's got proof now. Every person who ever owned the box lived a glamorous life, but they were also surrounded by death. And all of them, they didn't make it out alive. Claire freaks out even more when Paul starts spamming her phone, begging to get back together. She melts down, and Ryan snaps at her when he realizes she's already made 5 wishes. Still, he agrees to help her destroy it. They throw it in a fire, smash it with a hammer. Nothing works, so back into the vent it goes. That night, she wakes up to find Paul in her room. He's holding a knife. He mumbles something about not being able to live without her, then proves it. Claire screams, calls an ambulance, and he gets rushed to the hospital. The next morning, she discovers the box is missing. Then the police show up and take everything her family owns because August never paid taxes. Back to the old house they go. Jonathan's back to dumpster diving, Claire's back on her bike, and Darcy's back at school, ready to make Claire's life miserable again. Then Claire realizes June has the box. June admits she stole it to protect everyone, but Claire's too far gone. She snatches it back, and when June tries to stop her, things get physical. Claire shoves her, and June tumbles down the stairs. She doesn't get back up. Ryan witnesses it all and runs after Claire, but she refuses to listen. She's holding onto that box like it's the only thing keeping her alive. When she gets home, she starts losing it, crying and panicking. Desperate, she wishes for her mom to come back. And just like that, Johanna walks in, alive with 2 daughters Claire has never seen before. It's as if she never left. The family throws Claire a birthday party, and for a moment, everything feels perfect. But then she spots a new painting by her mom, one of the box. That's when it hits her. Johanna used the box too, and the box killed her. Before she can process that horror, she hears the music again. Jonathan is outside working with Carl. She rushes to stop them, but she's too late. Carl's ladder wobbles, he loses control of his chainsaw, and Jonathan is gone in an instant. Johanna screams, Claire runs, and without thinking, she makes her last wish, to go back to the morning Jonathan found the box. Time rewinds. She wakes up in her bed like none of it ever happened. First thing she does is call Meredith. She's alive. The neighbor is too. She rushes outside and finds Jonathan and Carl just about to start dumpster diving. This time, she's the one who finds the box. Without a word, she hides it in her bag. Later, she meets up with Ryan, hands him the bag, and tells him to bury it. No questions asked. He agrees. To thank him, she asks him out and kisses him. But just as she walks away, bam! Darcy's car comes out of nowhere. She never sees it coming. The box might be gone, but fate still has the last laugh. Sometime later, Ryan finishes digging the hole. But curiosity gets the best of him. He peeks inside the bag, sees the box, and reads the words written on it. 7 wishes.